Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're talking mini Cattleyas. I have 4 wonderful mini Cattleyas to share with you. 2 of them are in bloom, 2 not yet, but I have footage. Don't you worry. So, I know many of you are really into mini Cattleyas and have been requested a mini Cattleya video for a lot of time. And I kept telling you, wait, I want to have a few more in bloom, a few more to show you, so on. Well, we can start the mini Cattleya videos because I have stuff to show you. Now I have more than this. As I was saying, I want to get footage. I want to show you flowers because you cannot have all of them in bloom at the same time, right? But the 4 that I have for you today, I think they are adorable. I think they bloom frequently, and I think you will enjoy having in your home. So before we start, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? I post multiple times a week and it is absolutely completely free. But if you're feeling a little extra and you can and you wish to support the channel further and what I do here, do consider becoming a member, checking out the affiliate links down below, checking out the merch. We have new orchid mugs, really beautiful, or using the super thanks option below my videos, and I thank you very, very much for your support. With that said, let us start, right? What do we start with? Should we start with the blooming ones first? Right, let's do that. So first, here we have SLC Cosmic Delite. Now, Sophrolelio Cattleya is an old name. Now they're all Cattleyas, I do believe, pretty much. You're gonna have tags on the screen. I cannot really keep up with the name changes sometimes. But just so you know, Sophronides is a species that gives to many of its hybrids this smaller size. So many Sophronides or former Sophronides hybrids will be redder in color and have beautiful small sizes. And if I'm not mistaken, I have 3. And 1 which is a wild card. But let's start with this one. So the Cosmic Delite is a wonderful tiny Cattleya orchid which will not grow bigger than this. So this is about 20 centimeters or so. I would say it fits in any shelf and windowsill. Bonus, it's not really hard to grow in a home, particularly if you have an intermediate home. Now, the good thing about these Sophronides hybrids is that they do not require as much warmth and as much light as the bigger Cattleyas. Sophronides as a species might not be the easiest overall, but in combination with Cattleyas, it's perfect. It grows tiny, it is not as finicky, it is more tolerant of lower humidity and stuff, and it doesn't require the warmth and the light that Cattleyas do. So if you've ever had issues with Cattleyas, maybe try these ones. I can tell you all of these tiny orchids, they're all grown under lights. They're not going on my reserved southern windowsill. That's the place for the floofy Cattleyas. The place for the tiny Cattleyas is on my shelves, under grow lights, no natural light, and here we have them. If I can do it, so can you. So don't worry if you don't have enough light. If you don't have grow lights, again, don't worry, they can grow well in kitchen light as well. It has to be a little bright, you know, so it's not the tiniest little lamp, but if you have one of those tubes or a spotlight on them, pretty bright, that should be great. If you actually have a naturally bright place in your home, they're great. So this applies to all of them, but let's get back to this one. The Cosmic Delite is a wonderful coral color Cattleya, which blooms differently in warm temperatures. So we are in winter now, and as you can see, the color is a little redder or more coral, and we have brighter yellow splashes. In summertime, it blooms differently. It's a lot more purple or fuchsia colored, and the splashes, I do believe they're not so intensely yellow, they're more whitish. This is a trait you will discover with other hybrids as well, but just so you know, it is a bit of a color changer depending on the season. So you will always have a bit of a different flower if it blooms in different seasons. And yes, it does bloom throughout the year, multiple times a year. It doesn't actually have a blooming season, which is valid for all of these orchids that I'm gonna show you today. So you don't have to wait around a year for this orchid to bloom. If it's established, it will bloom. Bonus, I also have another direction of growth here, which I can already feel has buds. It's not the type of orchid that creates sheaths. So it blooms fast, it looks beautiful. It is not fragrant though. None of the orchids that I'm gonna show you today are fragrant. That is a trait that bigger fluffy Cattleyas have. It's not a rule, but typically the smaller cats, they're not all fragrant. Pros and cons, but they're tiny and they're beautiful and they're usually very brightly colored. So maybe we can skip the fragrance. Right, the next orchid that I'm going to show you is the wild card here. This is not a Sophronides hybrid, this is something else. I don't really know how it has been classified, but I will say it's an Epicanthe Hsiang U Gold Coast Fireworks. You're gonna have the full name on the screen. This is again a complex hybrid that has epidendrum crossed with Cattleyas in its parentage. So it's not really looking the same. It has a different color, different flower shape. It is a cluster bloomer, but it has a lot in common when it comes to care. It takes the exact same care as any other of these Cattleyas. And again, you can bloom and grow this orchid beautifully even if you don't have very hot or very warm temperatures, or if you don't have natural light. I grow this again under lights, like next to this one. They're on the same shelf because they fit. It doesn't grow taller than this, so again, 20 centimeters or so, and it absolutely fits in windowsills and shelves. It's also not finicky. It's also very drought tolerant, pretty much like any other Cattleya, minus the finickiness, plus the beautifulness. The flowers are tiny, as you can see, and they have that typical epidendrum shape. If you know epidendrums, you know what I mean. But you know, some epidendrums can grow very tall. Well, this one doesn't. This one stays like this. It grows multiple growths per year, so it can bloom multiple times a year. This was where the last bloom was, and as you can see, the flower spike is not even dried yet. It's been a couple of months or so. So this one actually blooms very fast. It matures very fast. Bonus, even if it produces a little sheath, it's not that type of sheath that stays there and you don't see anything in it for a year. It actually blooms or produces buds pretty fast in that sheath, so you don't have to wait around for it way too much. And bonus, as I was saying, it creates multiple growths per direction of growth, and it's just a joy to grow. Now, being that it will grow very fast, it can actually become bushy very fast. It's not gonna grow tall, but it can become bushy. At this point, you can actually divide it. Now, if you don't know how to divide orchids, I'll put a link down below. Even if this one is suitable for beginners, when it comes to dividing, you should learn a thing or two. Don't go ahead and remove pseudobulbs willy-nilly, because it's not gonna end well. Even if it's vigorous, if you just remove one of the pseudobulbs and expect it to grow, it might not. So you should know some stuff about division. Other than that though, it is a joy to grow, very easy to grow. It is not fragrant though, but I think it looks absolutely adorable. And this coloration is very, very wild. This wonderful orange with the cheetah, I guess, ish pattern on it. I don't know, my imagination. But I find it to look very wild. Even if it's a hybrid, it's not a species, I think it looks naturalish, right? So as I was saying, just as easy to grow as any of these. Now, let's talk about the orchids that are not in bloom currently, but they will be. This one has buds actually. This is the Cattleya Hawaiian Splash Leia, former Sophro Cattleya. This is very similar to the first orchid that I showed you. The flowers are a little different though. We have again a beautiful coral color on the flower with a yellow splash. The shape of the flower is the same, but different. This one shares the same trait as the Cosmic Delite in the sense that in the summer it tends to flower more fuchsia-like, and those yellow splashes are not so yellow, they're more whitish, and in the cooler season it blooms a lot redder. I personally prefer the cool season flowers, but hey, you always get a different looking like flower. Now the Hawaiian Splash Leia, it's an older hybrid. It's amongst my very first Cattleyas that I've ever had, so I don't think you're gonna have issues finding it. I think it's an older hybrid than the Cosmic Delite. I might be wrong, but this is very iconic, and I see it every once in a while in orchid nurseries. And if you find it for sale, I think you should definitely give it a go, because again, it's a small orchid. It doesn't grow bigger than this. It produces multiple flowers. You see 2 here, but this one at least can produce up to 5 in good conditions. It can grow without natural light. I grow it under artificial light. It doesn't need as much warmth. It blooms in the winter, and it blooms better in the winter. Obviously, don't keep it outside if it's under 15 degrees Celsius or worse, freezing. It's not gonna like that. But typical home conditions should be good for this orchid. It doesn't really fuss about humidity all that much, and everything that I said for the Cosmic Delite applies to this one as well. It's not fragrant, but it's absolutely beautiful, and I think you won't have issues growing it in your home. It's gonna stay small, but it will grow in width, I guess. At which point you can divide it. I will give you an advice. You will see these orchids are very vigorous and they grow very fast and they will have multiple directions of growth. Do not divide all the directions of growth and to give them to your friends. It's absolutely fine if you divide it in two and you're left with a pretty hefty division too, but dividing it with having 3 pseudobulbs, it severely sets it back for whatever reason. It's not as vigorous as you might think. So if you want to divide it at some point, be a little more reserved with the divisions. Don't chop it off into sections of 3 pseudobulbs thinking, oh, it's just gonna be just as vigorous. My experience has been pretty rough with this one when I divided it like that. So now I'm just letting them grow, bushing up, and eventually I will split them in 2 max, and that's it. I'm not gonna go ahead and overdo it with division. So even if it's gonna be very vigorous and very fast growing and a delight, don't be fooled. Don't go ahead and divide it into 11 pieces. 2-3 pieces, okay, if it's a big orchid, but don't divide it like 3 pseudobulbs. For me, it didn't end well. I don't want you to be sad and disappointed. So, better be mindful with dividing it and keep a bigger clump. It's just gonna bloom more. You're gonna have more flowers, more directions of growth, and you can definitely share it with your friends. But when you have proper clumps, because if you give your friend a 3 division clump, it might not do particularly great for your friend either. So, it's not gonna be nice for anybody. Just be mindful with division with this one. Just because I had that experience, just want to put it out there. But yeah, Cattleya Hawaiian Splashlea, such an iconic orchid. I love it so much. I will always have it in my collection. And last orchid that I'm going to show you, another Sophronites hybrid. This is Crystelle Smith and R. And we had this one in bloom recently. It's currently not in bloom, but I have a new growth already, which is quite plump. I might have blooms here. Now this one, even if it's a Sophronites hybrid, it is not red. It is a beautiful lavender color with the most beautiful yellow lip. The contrast is amazing. It's not a very common contrast. I think it's more common to get these reddish type of colorations than that particular contrast. Typically it's the other way around. You have a yellow, let's say, flower, but the lip is purple. This one is the other way around. In shape, it's very similar to these guys, and again, you can see it's a tiny orchid and it stays compact and it grows fast, multiple growths per year, very much like these guys. It has a bit of a different shape and it's also bifoliate. These ones are bifoliate as well, but this one has a rounder shape to it, and this is because I do believe it has an eclandier in its parentage. So the shape is a little bit different, but it acts pretty much just like these guys. I grow it under artificial light in my shelves and in the conditions of this room. I don't give it extra humidity or anything of the sorts, and it grows very, very fast. Again, it is not fragrant, but I mean, with how beautiful the flowers are, I don't think I care much about fragrance at this point. If I can't have it all, it's fine. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. And just like the others, it is one of those orchids that blooms multiple times a year, so you don't have to wait around for a year to have blooms. I don't have enough experience to know how vigorous this one is with division. I have multiple growths on this orchid which grow very fast. It bloomed right after I purchased it. No setback, no nothing. So I think it's vigorous, but again, I would be a little bit more reserved when it comes to dividing. After that whole experience, when it comes to mini Cattleyas, I would just not go ahead and divide them like so willy-nilly. Since they're tiny, you can actually have them as bigger clumps, so keep maybe 2 directions of growth, keep maybe 5 pseudobulbs on your division and maybe on your friend's division. Be careful with dividing. Other than that, they are a joy to grow, and even if they're not fragrant, I think they definitely put a smile on our faces and they just fit anywhere. And they're so easy to grow in homes. So you will have a Cattleya tutorial down below. Everything I say there applies to these guys as well. Furthermore, I just find them even less finicky. Cattleyas are not finicky, but they require even less than usual big Cattleyas. And I think they will do okay for you. You definitely can find them at online nurseries. I purchased mine mostly from Schroeder, to be fully honest. They do have a good selection of Cattleyas in general, but you can find them doesn't want to go back in. So you can find them at other nurseries as well. None of these are rare orchids or anything of the sorts. And being that they're tiny, typically they're a little more affordable than the big fluffy Cattleyas, which is fantastic. And yeah, I've had, as I was saying, the Cattleya Hawaiian Splash Leia as the first orchid I ever ordered, one of the first orchids I ever ordered from Schroeder, and it was absolutely massive. And I ordered it because it wasn't that expensive, you know? So I think that for the buck, there's quite a lot of bang. Can I say that? I think they're glorious, I think they're wonderful, and I really love collecting mini Cattleyas. So if you've enjoyed this video, let me know, and also let me know other varieties that you really like that I might not have, because I really want to have more. So in my future purchases, I will take them into account, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope this inspires you for your future purchases. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!